Welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week, I've decided to tackle the ongoing drama between the UK and Albania regarding migration, in particular relating to the harmful rhetoric used against Albanians and claims from the UK that asylum applications from Albanians are essentially unfounded. Albania is a safe country and there is no case for routinely offering asylum to Albanian claimants, the UK Parliament's Home Affairs Committee found in a report published this week. But for those who work with refugees and asylum seekers, they say crucial evidence was ignored. Now, in 2022, more than a quarter of the 45,755 people who crossed the channel in small boats came from Albania, and most of them claimed asylum. Historically, over half of asylum claims from Albanians were approved, with the number increasing further upon appeal. But the committee said it found little evidence to suggest applicants are at significant risk in their own country, as it's not at war and it's a candidate country to join the EU. As a solution, the report states the UK and Albania should focus on economic development, increasing foreign investment, and creating seasonal work visas for Albanians in sectors like agriculture and construction. MPs did, however, note there were unquestionably cases of Albanian citizens being trafficked to the UK. As a response to this, they said appropriate safeguards must be put in place to ensure that any victims returned to Albania are supported. David Neal, a legal researcher with expertise in Albanian migration, who provided evidence to the committee, said the report was very disappointing and ignored his evidence that many Albanians were fleeing to escape a cycle of revenge that can pit families against each other over generations, otherwise known as blood feuds. NGOs report between 200 and 1,600 families living with the shadow of blood feuds, and there have been reported blood feud-related killings as recently as this year. As for those trafficked to the UK, particularly women, if returned to Albania, they're at a high risk of being re-trafficked or completely cut off by their families. Having reported on this situation for over a year and having gone head-to-head with British media in defence of Albania on multiple occasions, I decided it was time to bring the debate to my own show. I am joined online today by Conservative Member of Parliament from the UK, Tim Lawton, and by Daniel Sohage, Director of Stand for All and an expert in refugee law and protection, in what should be quite an interesting debate. Good afternoon to you both. Thank you for joining me on Inside Albania. My first question is, there was a survey published by the British Embassy in Tirana last week that spoke to youths in the north of the country and asked them, do you still want and intend on trying to travel to the UK this year? Some 50% of them said that they were not put off from trying to cross the channel. What do you think about this, considering all the policies and frameworks that have been put in place by the UK government?
Well, that survey is slightly old now. When the Home Affairs Select Committee were visiting Tirana back in March, we had a presentation with those survey results from the NGO that had been working in the north of Albania and had interviewed a lot of people, and that's the result they came up with. I think in the particular region where they were doing the interviews, there are close links with many Albanian people already and legally in the United Kingdom. So the UK is their first destination of choice if they want to leave Albania for another European country. But there are lots of things happening in the UK at the moment, with changes in the law going through, with better work going on with the French authorities and French police about intercepting migrants trying to come across the channel in smugglers' boats. And a combination of these things are going to make it much more difficult in the future anyway. And as we also know, the numbers of Albanians specifically who are trying to come to the UK through these means has dropped off very substantially to what we saw last summer when there was a very substantial surge. Now, Albanian citizens were the largest single nationality trying to come to the UK in that way.
Yes. Okay. So I want to ask as well. I mean, firstly, yes, we have seen a big drop in the number. I think it was in the first quarter of this year, the number dropped significantly compared to 2022. But I think that could be partly attributed to the terrible British weather as well. Let's see what happens sort of from now on in terms of numbers. But Tim, you did say as well that Albania should apologise to the UK for this situation. Now you're on Albanian TV as well. Does this stand? Who should apologise and for what exactly?
Well, I'm not sure I've asked for Albania to apologise. I think we've all asked for Albania to continue the good cooperation which we now have between the Albanian authorities and British authorities. And when we were in Tirana in March, we met many people working through the embassy, through our National Crime Agency, through the army operation, through Border Force and others. And they're working very closely with the Albanian authorities. So I'm not quite sure where you got that information from, but clearly there was a problem, particularly last year, when 28% of all those people trying to come across the channel in that way. And whatever you think about how many people should come to the UK, how many asylum seekers we should take, coming across by paying people smugglers, criminal gangs in the busiest shipping route in the world is absolutely the worst possible way to try to get to the UK. Now we have agreements with the Albanian government where those people who've come to the UK without a claim on asylum and they've been rejected are being returned to Albania, and that's a helpful agreement for both our countries. You don't need to lose so many of your members of your population who need to be contributing to the Albanian economy. And obviously, there are other people who have a better claim if they're claiming asylum than people coming from Albania. And I'm afraid we found really no grounds on which people from Albania should be routinely claiming asylum in order to try to come to the UK. Most other European countries just do not accept those asylum claims from Albania.